No run today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the race, and because there's so many airplanes going over, I think what I'll try and do is do a voiceover and just show you some stock footage of the race. But it was an extremely fun race. Now, like I said at the end of the last video, it was the first time I had finished a half marathon and didn't break down from exhaustion. There's a reason for that, which I'll get into a little bit later when we look at some of the statistics. This was my first time running with NYC Runs, and overall, I thought they put on a pretty good race. The atmosphere was really low-key, and it had that quintessential Brooklyn hipster vibe to it. All my interactions with the volunteers, staff, and organizers were very positive, and the race route itself was really scenic, with a few caveats. There were a little over 19,000 runners, split between the full marathon and the half, which made for a crowded start, and some of the turns were a little bit crowded. But if given the choice, I'd definitely run this race again. That said, there are a plethora of races to choose from in New York City in April, May, and June, so I might shop around for smaller races. It wasn't all positive though. The starting area, while gorgeous, was in a subway dead zone with really only the G train. If I had taken public transit to get to the race, it would have taken me nearly 2 hours to get there with a minimum of 3 train transfers. Now, because public transit wasn't really an option, I, like many other people, got a car to take me. I should have known better, but I ended up having to get out of the car on the off-ramp and walk the rest of the way because of just how jammed the traffic was. Now, all that said, logistics for 20,000 runners and the inevitable crowd is hard, and the race organizers did a great job of communicating with everyone, so that I, at least, felt like I was informed about what was happening. One negative of the race route was that a section was on a cobblestone road, and I tried my best to run on it, but it really felt like I was going to injure my ankle. Fortunately, there were sidewalks on either side, and most of the runners actually ended up on the sidewalk about halfway through the cobblestone section. The last thing I'll say about the route was that it was a net uphill race. We started near sea level, ran along the shore, and then uphill along Flatbush Avenue to a plateau in Park Slope, where we stayed until we ended the race. While that would have been great for a workout, it would have been nice to have a downhill to get a little bit of recovery. Let's look at some of the stats for the race. First and foremost, I beat my previous time and finished in 1 hour and 49 minutes. It really has been a steady journey getting that time down. Just 2 years ago, I finished my first half marathon in about 2 hours and 11 minutes. Last year, I finished in 1 hour and 53 minutes, despite getting a much better time, which I'm infinitely happy about. I was shooting for a goal of 1 hour and 46 minutes. There are 2 reasons, at least I'm telling myself, I missed the goal. First, my watch led me astray. Over the course of the entire race, my watch's GPS drifted enough to have me finishing the 13.1 miles at about the 12.9 mile mark. Second, and this is 100% a mistake on my part, I got it in my head that my max pace needed to be at 8:14 minute miles. My pacing strategy was to run the same pace the entire race, with maybe a faster pace on the last mile depending on how I felt. So for most of the race, I was locked in at that pace, even slowing myself down when I was running at my actual race pace. You can see that I was pretty consistent mile over mile, with only a real slowdown on the uphill portions. I was even running the last quarter of a mile at around 6:33. Garmin has my average pace for the entire race at exactly 8:14. The official average pace I was given was set at 8:20. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this explains why I finished the race with so much energy left. I was running with a lot of headroom, so I had collected some other statistics. One of the crazy things I noticed was that my cadence slowly but steadily increased through the entire race, as if I was doing a negative split. My vertical ratio, or how bouncy I was, actually decreased. The oddest thing to me was that my foot balance evened out the further along in the race I got. I usually favor my right foot, but near the end, it was pretty much 50-50. I really doubt my running form got better as I got tired, but I don't know any other way to interpret the data. So what's coming up for at least the next 4 or 5 weeks is I'll be just doing some unstructured training, maybe get back into the low heart rate training, the aerobic based training. And there's actually a big announcement, but I'm not going to make it right now. If you've been following along, and in fact in the last video, you might be able to tell what the big announcement is and actually where it is.